We have here the SARS, of course, Sergeant Robinson, and of course that lovely lady in the middle, Miss Bridget Stokes, and a co So let's just get right into it. We want to talk about what's going on this weekend, what happened in the last week, especially around the elections. And I am very, very happy. I'm surprised too. And I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna tell y'all guys how I was surprised. All right. Number one is Mamdani in New York. I can't imagine. I couldn't fathom the fact that he could win an election in New York City. Okay. So this is a Jewish town, New York City. It's known as a Jewish town. They may not have the population, but they run a lot of things. And to get a Muslim as the next mayor, as the mayor elect now, that is a major, major accomplishment. A Muslim being the mayor of New York. I can't imagine that. But I'm very happy that he won because I think that we need some change. We need some new blood. Cuomo's from the old school. I mean, if we had elected him, he would have been doing the same thing he was doing as a governor. That's your boys. That's your club. All right. And Cuomo represents the old boys clubs, you know what I mean? Rubbing elbows with the rich folks and the rich and powerful. Yeah, that's him. But Mamdani, the guy's just what, 32 years old? A socialist? A democratic socialist? I can't. That right there should scare the hell out of Republicans. That should scare the hell out of Republicans. Ernest?
Why are we codifying him as a democratic socialist?
Because that's what he claims. He claims that he's a democratic socialist.
So,
He's a
well, okay,
socialist, but he's running on a
but
Democratic ticket.
but
Okay.
why is that scary and why would fascism not be more scarier than socialism?
Well, fascism, I think I said, somebody asked me, matter of fact, I did speak to the Black MAGA yesterday, guys, and I said, I wonder what the Black MAGA, I was just thinking about the events that had transpired during the elections. I said, let me call my Black MAGA friend, and so I called him up and I said, look, Paul, what do you think about the elections? It looks like, man, you're gonna have to get out of town, man, come 2026 and 2028 because y'all guys gonna lose, and there's gonna be some vindication that we're gonna want. You know what I mean? Some redemption. But anyway, he sounded like, okay, y'all won that, but those were traditionally blue states. All right. So I'm saying, okay, well maybe Virginia is purple, New Jersey, of course, New York, but still in New York, the resistance was fierce. I mean, they were calling Mamdani everything but the name of, the son of God
God.
or Muhammad. You know what I mean? So
So
I want
so
y'all guys to input on Mamdani. I do have him up here. Though. I mean, I
yeah.
can play some stuff here.
The reason why I was asking that was because it's like, I mean, so one, I want to make sure that not only do we, but also our audience understands what fascism and socialism is. Okay, so fascism is characterized by a dictatorial leader, centralized autocracy, militarism,
Hmm.
forcible suppression of opposition, and a belief in a natural society, social hierarchy. Okay,
Hmm.
now, I know that historically, the United States is not a fascist country. However, by definition, is this not what is currently happening within our society by definition?
Now
Now,
explain that. Elaborate.
well, we have an executive branch that has is dictating their leadership. Centralized autocracy, meaning that so the autocrats are those who are affluent, who have a lot of money, And the centralization of that autocracy, one, was indicative during the inauguration when you had majority of all the billionaires, or the most affluent of the United States and almost of the world in one location on that Diaz when the inauguration was taking place. You had the CEO of Google, you had the CEO of TikTok, you had the CEO of Facebook, you had all of them were present at the inauguration. And then into the administration, where you had Elon Musk, who is considered to be the most affluent of all, the leader of Doge, right?
Okay.
Militarism, where you have now you're militarizing not only the police or policing within communities, by utilizing the National Guard, the United States Marines that were sent into to Los Angeles, and National Guards are being deployed in different areas, especially like in Washington D.C., in Chicago, Illinois, where they attempted to do that. That's militarism. Forcible suppression of the opposition, where you pull in credentials of media who happen to be in opposition of a particular thought that you may have, and the belief in a natural social hierarchy, which for those who happen to be rich, then we're rich, and those who are poor, then you're poor, and then that's the natural way that we have our hierarchy.
Okay.
All of that can be seen within this administration that just occurred this year. This is only 10 months into this administration, but by definition, and I don't see how anybody would be able to refute that, that's what fascism is, and that's what it
Well,
looks like that may be taking place.
I've
Oh,
always
huh?
said, Ernest, in studying capitalism versus socialism, there's some great stuff in capitalism. There's some great stuff in socialism. If you could take the good parts out of socialism and the good parts out of capitalism, you would have utopia. As simple as that.
Glad you said that, because there is not very many, and especially not here in the United States, where we are a strict capitalistic society.
No,
We
that's why you got
have
welfare
so
and you got some socialist programs.
exactly. Now, the point of this particular portion of the reason why, and we're even just doing the dive into this, is just to make sure
Right.
that we're all aware of what the definitions are and why the references of stating that somebody should be afraid of socialism
I was
versus
afraid when I
fascism. Hold
first
on.
saw Bernie. I was
Yeah,
afraid.
hold on. Versus fascism, right?
Mhm.
Socialism is an economic, political philosophy that encompasses diverse economic and social systems characterized by social ownership of the means of production. Okay, or describes an economic, political, and social theory movements associated with the implementation of such systems. Okay,
Okay.
so stating that social ownership can take various forms, including public, community, collective, or cooperative employees. So that's the socialism.
Okay.
Nothing within that sounded scary, intimidating, forcible, um intimidating in no shape, form, or fashion. But when we have these conversations about individuals who align themselves with more socialist type programming versus those who align themselves or in fascism, we don't necessarily have that understanding of what that definition actually is.